Okay, Steve has started the recording, so we can get going. It's time to start. So, Richard, how are you feeling today, and what is your desired takeaway, and what shape are you in?
I'm just coming out of winter shape. When I last talked on Wednesday morning, it was about 6 or 7 hours before another big snowstorm hit, and the next day was several inches, centimeters of snow, and now it's going away again. So maybe April showers will in fact be real showers. Uh, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, and I've just uh, been in dialogue with some colleagues in the U.S., or former colleagues, and really talking about um, the consequences of all of the executive orders that have to do with what you can teach, what kind of pedagogy you can use in American universities and schools. And um, when I got a firsthand description of it, it sounds pretty oppressive. Um, and how do you get through it in terms of coming out the other side? Do you go underground and um, you do some other things? Do you do what Fuller was talking about? And that is, don't try and fight the existing model, figure out a way to create a new model. And and then when the storm sort of passes, you'll be able to go back to your old model, or you might have discovered that your alternative is actually new and better and different than what the old was. So there's that's kind of looking at the bright side of what could be a dark side right now. So that gives me more and more incentive to want to fully understand um, Amy's writings about Fuller, and to understand it and figure out other ways we can apply it that that might in fact be counters to um, existing sort of restrictions and limitations and censorships. So, Anne, how are you feeling, and what's your expectations for today?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, just so everybody knows that when I did my system, whatever system we created here, I was modeling it out of the Canadian system. Yeah, just to be clear, and and that was really difficult for people to understand. So we never really talked about it, but we just did it. Um, but then people started comparing us to the Finnish education, and then in Hong Kong they called us Finnish Asian hybrid. But just want to be clear, I modeled it actually after the Canadian system. Okay, and I absolutely love it. But Malaysians here, they don't understand it. If you try to do it fully, the Canadian system, they'll fight it, and then they will do the same thing with Montessori. They will turn it into Asian system. They will have lots of elements, and that it just the core of what it's meant to be just gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we use the Asian core as the bait, yeah, and then we wrapped everything else with the Canadian. But I just wanted to share that, yeah. So I'm really, really curious to see what they want to do with it, yeah. Um, the other thing, okay, the shape I'm in, I mean, need a bit of help with what you call it, right? I'm at the shape of. Oh, first and foremost, Richard, I volunteered you to on the when your Wednesday morning call for you to explain the shape thingy because I think Susan and Wayne may not be clear where it's coming from. So at the beginning, could you explain it before we start? When we ask about the shape, yeah. The other one is so the shape I'm in is, the point where the roads cross, right? But the thing is, it's not four cross, like it's not crossroad. It's four. It's got like many spokes coming out of it. So for when you talk about the doing the dome, right? The dome or the geodesic dome, that point where you meet to the point where you can have four or five like spokes coming in. what is that point? What do you call it? What's the terms scientifically or mathematically or Bucky wise? What is it called?
At the point, at the
The point where you can have like 3 or 4 or 5 spokes coming into that point to build that dome, right? The geodesic dome. So what do you call that point with the spokes all coming?
I'd call right at the moment. I'm calling it the vertex or the node, or is that what you're getting at? The right at the point.
Yes, because a few times you've mentioned that you have to have something to bring all the things together and make it strong there, right? So is that
Oh, that's
uh,
the tensegrity, but
okay.
that's not the point. But let's carry on with the kind of discussion, and I think I'll catch
Okay.
a better sense of it. Yes.
Yeah, it's just the I know you have used the terms for it, just I can't recall the actual term, but it's at that point, right, where the thing is all it's coming out of that point, and there are about 5 or 6 spokes, and so that I'm at a point where I have to make some really really big decisions on what to do to move forward, and there are about six directions I could take, right? 5 or 6. 5 I see much clearer. The 6th one doesn't quite fit right for me. It doesn't feel quite right for me, but 5. So that's the shape I'm in today. What I hope to take away is okay. I'm working on, because now I'm tossed out to do more videos, right? So a lot of what I'm going to do, I want to head towards talking about education and what I've picked up from all our meetings for almost 5 years now with all of you here. And so I'm going to have to figure out how I would like to make the videos head in that direction. Okay, so that's what I'm here for today. So it will be, Fred, you'll be going last, right, today? Yeah. Manu, how do you feel and what would you like to take away today? And what shape are you in? Sorry.
Good morning. I feel waking. And just ready to go. What I expect is progress towards the real end of this book. Really, it's been a long time that I've been reading it. So that's my expectation. Who is it? Fred, how do you feel?
Joe hasn't been.
Is it Joe? Joe, how do you feel? What shape are you? What do you expect?
That's an interesting question, the shape. That's a hard one. I'm gonna have to think about it for a moment. But I just am, now getting settled into my new place, and I'm really excited about that. But I'm also just on Wednesday after our call, signed the final papers to, kind of, to finally move and get to move on, and that was tough. That's tough, and I think that I'm feeling it. That that connection. There's a lot of memories there. So, it's mixed emotions, but there's a lot to be excited about. But it's just it's also, I think that it was an interesting process that I'm still ongoing, of getting rid of things in two different homes. And that was a lot. And so it's a culmination of a period of my life. And so there's all kinds of emotions going on with that. But at the same time, it's nice to have things that are reoccurring and steady. So it's good to be on a call. So the shape. I I'm going to save that for my takeaway, maybe. It's that's a tough one today. Maybe an octahedron. That's what I'll say. So, in any case, yeah. So, where we left off last time, I believe, was the geodesic dome variables or design variables. Was that correct? Or wait, I felt like we read that.
You going to Joe or Frank? Fred?
Fred had gone. If I thought. Oh no! Oh, forgive me, Fred. I didn't. I thought you, when I was stepped away for a moment, you had already gone. Forgive me, Fred. How are you feeling? What would you like to take away? Sorry about that. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. I don't know what shape I'm in, but I'm still a little bit sleepy. But I was here like maybe 10 minutes before the call. Steve was there, and he was a little bit wondering who was going to take over the call and lead the call. And I thought Joe was going to do that, and then Steve said, "Well, take it because I am with family. I cannot speak and all that." So I'm the co-host, but Joe, I'm happy to give you the lead for that. So it's all fine. It's just a matter of logistics anyway. I don't know what shape I'm in. I have not. I don't have a shape coming to my mind, so I'm in a shapeless form. I'm like a dune shapeshifter. There we go. So, and my expectation, as usual, is let's learn a little bit something today. And if I can learn something, even a little bit, I'll be quite happy. Joe, it's all yours to do. I can share my screen if you want, and then you can lead the call.
Oh yeah, if you want to share your screen, that'd be better, actually, if you don't mind.
Yeah, with Steve, we talked about that. It's convenient for logistics for the leader to have somebody that shares the screens, so that he doesn't
I can
have to
do
do
that.
so many things at the same time.
I can do that.
You go ahead. I can share the screen. It's okay.
No, I
You
can
go
share
ahead. You
it.
lead the
No
call. I share
problem.
the screen. If I know how to do that.
Like that? I can do it.
It's very small, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have the PDF.
Let me share the PDF.
I have
Yes,
the
I
Kindle,
do.
and that's the reason I don't like it.
Share.
The Kindle version is, yeah, that's a lot better.
Is that where we were? 265?
Design in nature, was it? For some reason I
We've
felt
read all that. We've read all that.
I thought we got the Tensegrity, actually.
Yes, 271 Tensegrity.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, that's where we're starting. Up, the other way.
The other up. Richard is going to scold us. We're not supposed to use that word.
Yeah.
There we go. There.
Well, actually, this word up, down, these words up and down, they're not bad per se. It all depends on what reference you're using. But if you have a local reference, up and down are very acceptable. If you have a local
That's Steve
a
actually
local
points that out.
coordinate system. Okay, is that where we're at?
Yeah,
Tensegrity?
Tensegrity. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Any volunteer for reading?
I mean, I don't mind volunteer. I don't mind volunteering. Tensegrity. Before geodesic domes appeared on the scene in 1948, the dome of St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome, with a diameter of 150 feet, 46 meters, was unchallenged as the largest architectural clear span. 150 feet and 40.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Am I wrong to think we've read that already?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Maybe I read it ahead.
I mean,
Oh, no.
I don't know.
I think, Fred, you're right. We did move on so that we could get started because there was no way that was 2 weeks ago. There was no way we were going to stop there because for Richard's sake, we started reading it. And then, but last week we went backwards to the design section and we read back to here. So if you want, maybe, yeah, it's a good idea maybe to start reading it again. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we'll continue going. 150 feet, 46 meters, must have been seen as a fundamental upper limit, a sort of divine zoning law. Ultimately, the inherent stability of triangles cannot alone account for the geodesic dome's ability to span unlimited distances with no interior supports, nor for its unprecedented strength to weight ratio. The rest of the explanation lies in an understanding of tensegrity, Fuller's contraction of the two words tension and integrity. Tensegrity describes a structural relationship principle in which the structural shape is guaranteed by continuous tensional behaviors of the system and not by the discontinuous, exclusively local compressional member behaviors. Fuller thus introduces a discussion of the interplay of tension and compression forces in the universe. His term also refers to the inescapable co-occurrence of tension and compression, while its first syllable emphasizes the too often overlooked role of tension. All systems consist of some combination of tension and compression forces. The two are inseparable. All systems, what about a simple piece of nylon rope pulled at both ends between two hands? Isn't that pure tension? Try to visualize the experiment. Pull as hard as you can on both ends and notice what happens to the thickness of the rope. Its diameter shrinks slightly, betraying the invisible compression force around the rope's circumference, or perpendicular to the applied tension. Even in this simple example, unplanned compression is inevitable. The same is true in the reverse. Applying compression to a column introduces surface tension around its girth. Pushing from both sides along the long axis of a strut causes the outside surface to stretch, albeit slightly. Tension and compression go hand in hand as simultaneous complementary functions. However, one or the other usually dominates a given situation. 641.01. No tension member is innocent of compression, and no compression member is innocent of tension. 641.02. Tension and compression are inseparable and coordinate functions of structural systems. Coordinate. But one may be at its high tide aspect, i.e., most prominent phase, while the other is at low tide, or at least prominent as at least prominent aspect. Apologies on that. The visible tensioned rope is compressively contracted in almost invisible increments of its girth dimensions. The low tide aspect of compression occurs in planes perpendicular to its tensed axis. We thereby draw.
Can you reread that one? 64102, please.
Sure. Tension and compression are inseparable coordinate functions of structural systems, but one may be at its high tide aspect, i.e., most prominent phase, while the other is at low tide or least prominent aspect. The visibly tensioned rope is compressively contracted in almost invisible increments of its girth dimensions. The low tide aspect of compression occurs in planes perpendicular to its tense axis.
Thank you.
No worries. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. We thereby draw there. That's tough.
Oh, you can't. When I move my screen, you can't see it anymore.
Nah, it goes pretty blurry. I mean, I can.
Oh, okay, okay. It's sorry. It's I have a very small screen, and I have to
There.
to explode the windows in order to find which one, and else it interferes with Zoom. Sorry about that.
We thereby draw the distinction. Our rope is a tension element. The loaded column, a compression member. Effective design must balance the two interdependent forces in preferred ways. Note that the engineering team, pure axial force, is thus convenient simplification, which is effective in terms of structural analysis rather than an accurate scientific description. A strut, which is to carry either axial compression or tension, can be significantly lighter than one which is subject to bending or torque. The apparently insurmountable limit to the clear span of a structure existed because the interdependence of tension and compression was not fully understood. In general, the history of construction reveals an overwhelming dependence on compression. Our concept of building has been inseparably tied to that of weight. Early humanity piled one stone on top of another, and we continue to employ the same single strategy, fighting gravity with sheer mass. Bicompressional continuity has its limits, such as the impossibility of achieving spans greater than 150 feet, 46 meters. Any large dome would collapse under the force of its own weight. Moreover, although architects may not have reflected on the principles of tensegrity, necessity apparently forced them to add a powerful iron chain around the base of St. Peter's Dome. The outward thrust from all that compression needed further restraint. I'll finish here, and then we'll go back over the section. Fuller decided that a better approach was needed than that of slapping on a bandage at the end. Following nature's example, tension must be designed into the structure at the start. In fact, tension must be primary.
Thank you.
So, any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to point out, because I think we went through this quite a few times. I know, Richard, this is also one of your favorites, the balance. I think it's at the top, just before that box. The thing about effective design must balance the two interdependent forces in preferred ways. And I think this because we talked about dynamic equilibrium. We were talking about balance and the dynamic balance. Remember, I think there was one point we were talking about that. And so the idea of balance, it becomes a problem because people expect both sides to be the same, but or to balance out both sides, that it's even out in a straight line. But I think that time we're looking at balance as in find its balance. So it could be the tension is stronger than the compression, but across the whole thing, it's got a balance. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, correct? So it's more dynamic in nature rather than balance as in both the same, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Balance in that sense is another word for it is robust, dynamic or robust. And robust has flexibility. And of course, that's what was done to earthquake-proof buildings eventually, is to put enough flexibility in the
Yeah.
compression elements in order for it to be able to weave a bit. Um, and even in our part of the world, making cement sidewalks, there would be a block of cement, but then there would be a divider, and it was often a soft piece of kind of almost like foam that would go in between these sections of concrete, and that allowed a freezing and contracting movement in the wintertime so that the blocks wouldn't break or crack. Um, and then this tensegrity model for me is one of these nice examples, because you have these struts that are sort of compression and the elastics are tension, and then the system has it's got this kind of stretch and fold to it. And so that's what I was meaning by shape. You can have everything pulled together really tight and be sort of a tightly sort of um, restricted, if you want, type of shape, or it can be pulled out and be a really scattered kind of shape, which you might feel overwhelmed, or uh, you don't know kind of where you're going in terms of the system, or it can be just whatever fits correctly for you in terms of the right amount of tension with the compression elements. And with this model, I used it in a group one time, and I was just passing it around and having people sort of feel it and see the stretch and the struts, and see if it communicated anything to them. Um, and very often people would say they might have some kind of communication feeling that's coming to them out of the model. Some people just say, oh, it's a bunch of sticks and elastics. It doesn't mean anything. And I gave this model to one person in a group of about 50 people who are all professional helpers, social workers. And for some reason, he said, I hate this model. And to express his hatefulness, he put the thing on the floor and he stamped on it with his foot. Well, of course, the whole audience was aghast that this person would treat the guest speaker in this kind of negative way. But what happened when he took his foot off, the model bounced right back to its original shape, and and so he was able to express his dislike for it for whatever reasons, but the model was able to accommodate that kind of reaction from him, and it bounced back into a manageable or acceptable shape afterwards. And the horror of what he did to me as the guest speaker sort of dissipated, and everybody was okay and even started to laugh about it and sort of feel that it was a light moment in the group. And yeah, so it's, and the other thing for me about tension and compression is that so often when we have a list of things, here's the 5 best things or 6 best things, we put them in a list, vertical, or we put them in a horizontal list, and then we might talk about the tension and compression, the list items representing compression, but you can't see any connection between them. You have to try and imagine it. But if you put them in a geometric kind of form, like to say the tetrahedron, then you can see these four things, the list, four things, and then you see the six connections. And all of a sudden you see the compression and the tension concepts in a visual. Um, and whereas you can't do it if you just put them in a horizontal or a vertical list. Um, and that's what's exciting for me right now is to be able to visually show the tension and compression on a kind of a two-dimensional sheet.
Actually, Richard, the last time when you shared with us that model, right? Until you squished it, I didn't know that it was that flexible. I thought it was like kind of stuck in that shape, yeah. And so today you said that and then you shared that when you stomp on it, it bounces back into shape. And then since we're talking about this, I'm just looking at my hand, right? So there's, and then I just realized, oh my God, wrinkles are, our skin losing its tension. No more tension. Okay, well, that's it. Yep.
Yeah,
Looking at your hands oh, sorry, Joe, go ahead.
no, I just put a link in the chat actually during one of our previous discussions a long time ago. Richard had actually brought up this what was it, doctor or video that you had watched? Bio Tensegrity. And it's just talking about how nature actually works, and thinking about it in terms of even how our muscles and our tendons work, and how essentially the geodesic dome is essentially mimicking nature. And that's a really important point, because I do think that systems in general, if they look to nature to work within it and to mimic it, as opposed to dominate it, and I think that is true with economic systems as well. That you're going to have a much more stable structure, and I think that and it'll be much more effective. That's all. So I mean, the concept of tensegrity, I think, is critical, and even thinking about it in terms of, as Richard had mentioned, with the earthquakes with buildings and things like that. The Golden Gate Bridge is another good example of tensegrity. So it's the concept has has had a huge impact on the design world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, suspension bridges are a really good example of in the engineering world. Yeah, because you can see the cables and the columns, and so you can recognize the column structure and the cable tension.
Yeah, Richard, do you remember that that link that I put in the chat there?
Yeah, I think it looks like I haven't opened it, but it looks like it's we'll speak to tensegrity in the anatomy of the body with the bones and ligament muscle connections.
That's correct, and it's it was something that you had actually brought up to us, and I remember you explicitly telling us about that, and I found that to be very interesting. It was Graham Scar sound familiar, or Kenneth Snelson?
Well, Kenneth Snelson.
Snelson. There we go. Yeah, so that was another name that you had brought up. And he's also on that site as well.
Right.
So
Well,
it's a good example.
And it's a controversy between Snelson and Fuller as to sort of who came up with the tensegrity system. And it looks like, well, both of them were at that Black College in 1947, 48. And Snelson had a tensegrity model, and I think it was later that Fuller actually coined the term tensegrity to explain what it was that Snelson had. And then supposedly in the way in which Fuller spoke about it, made it sound like he was the one that came up with the structure itself, and not just the name. And I think over time, I don't know if the two of them buried their differences or Snelson came to accept the similarity and the differences between the two of them and what they were claiming, and gave up sort of making a big fight about it. And as you say, there's the orthopedic surgeon, Stephen Levin, who's talking about it in the anatomical sort of system.
Were you referring to Black Mountain College?
Yeah, Black Mountain, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
Can you put
Yeah,
the
I
name
mean-
in the chat for further research, Joe?
I'm sorry?
Can you put those names in the chat so that we
Oh,
have
yeah,
reference
absolutely.
for somebody
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
like to
I did
further
put one in
explore
there,
this,
Snelson,
this rabbit hole?
already. Kenneth Snelson, and then there's Black Mountain College. And then let me see. Yeah, Snelson is very interesting, as Richard was saying. Stephen Levin, I know you've brought up in the past as well.
Yeah, and Donald Ingber is another one that's really important. He published a very important article in Scientific American back in the 90s that showed how this geometric structuring of the tetrahedron and everything contributed to the evolution of life, really, in terms of going from simple cells to more complex sort of cellular systems. And he was one of the first people that I was introduced to that helped me come to some understanding of what tensegrity is all about, and the different kinds of examples you can use to share an explanation with others, whether it's a physical, like engineering kind of concept, or the anatomical concept, or the way he described it in his article, which is what prompted me to think of social tensegrity as the same principles must sort of exist in the way in which humans, if you want, relate to each other. And they're the compression elements, and the relationships between them are the tension elements. And the difference between that and atomy and bridge construction is you can't see the relationships. You can't see the the cables, if you want, and you can't see the ligaments and the muscles that are holding the bones in place. So I think what so often happens is that when you can't see it, then you just resort to compression as the only way to understand the system. And so in terms of human beings, you get the Newtonian sort of metaphor that says that human beings are born lazy and inert, and they won't move unless somebody or something pushes them or pulls them. And so I'm sure that's sort of the source of the carrot or stick kind of metaphor about how to get somebody motivated to do something.
Somebody has to stand up and defend Newton. He never said that.
Well, no, he might not have said that, but isn't he credited with the concept of inertia?
Yes.
And how do you get something to go from a state of inertia into some kind of dynamic or movement?
Yes.
And so somewhere in there, the idea that you have to push it or pull it, or you have to give it a carrot or a stick.
Mm.
And our educational
Okay.
systems have been built, the early sort of private schools have been built on the whole idea of the stick.
Okay. What Newton said was that an object that's not subjected to any force will maintain its velocity
Right.
and direction and momentum. And if you want to change its velocity to apply to see an acceleration or a change of direction, which is also an acceleration, then you have to apply a force on it. That's what Newton said. Extrapolating that to human interaction and behavior, to me, is a bit of a stretch, but yeah, you can draw a parallel maybe. Yeah. Okay. I only wanted to defend Newton, who's
Yeah, no,
who
I
did
think
a
it's important.
remarkable work, and
Yes.
whose physics work everywhere within human apprehendable universe, which is in the universe without tools for exploring the micro or the macro. Newton's physics works, so it's perfectly adapted to human life. So we need to, if we go to macro, we have to apply Einstein's relativity, special relativity. And if we go to the micro, then we have to apply quantum mechanics. Outside of that, Newton works very well. If you want to build a bridge, Newton is enough. It's anyway, that's my pet peeve about Newton.
No, I mean, but I do think that understanding tensegrity is, I mean, I think it's key to a lot of different concepts within Fuller, even ephemeralization, to tell you the truth. Because again, you get to the efficient use of energy, and you're able to do more with less. So, anyway, yeah, that's all I have. I mean,
Okay, thank you.
shall we go back to the reading?
Are you done, Joe? I would like Manu put something in the chat about principle of tensegrity was long before Fuller, practiced by the Dogons of West Africa to build a domal structure of clay and bamboo. Would you like to tell us more about that, Manu?
Interesting.
Yes, it is something that has been noticed a long time. That the Dogon that are in Mali, in southern Mali, build those structures. And those structures were built to seamlessly integrate the principles of the physical world and the metaphysical world. And those structures, they have withstood all the pressure and everything of time till today, and they continue to. I don't know if you heard about Timbuktu. Has anybody ever heard about Timbuktu?
Yeah, Timbuktu.
Yes, Timbuktu is not known was the first university in the world. It was the center of the world in the 13th century, where scholars and many famous European scholars came to study. It was ransacked and pillaged and destroyed, but remnants stay. And the first thing that the barbaric people did was to burn the library. That was the first thing.
Yeah.
Burn the library, burn it down. And it's been the practice of humanity all along.
Yeah.
Because knowledge threatens
The power structures.
the established, the power structures of the day. So
Wow.
that's what I wanted. You know, if you want to go, you can even Google it, and you'll see, you know, description of it, what it does, how they do. They're still practicing that art today. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that was
you know, just,
definitely.
you know, yes. Mhm.
I'm having a look at it now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything in their oral language that is a word or a term that you know, it expresses the same idea as tensegrity does?
I don't know. But what I see is that they practice it.
Oh yeah, no, it's
The principles that they use were those of compression, and tension. And by the way, one of the things that I wanted to notice here, I don't know if anybody of you noticed, I didn't say anything. I was waiting for the fireworks for somebody to get excited. I didn't see Fred getting excited. I didn't see Joe. I didn't see Richard. I was surprised. Is in those definitions, the importance of the word discontinuous and local compression. We always say that gravity is local. And radiation, that is tension, is everywhere.
Right.
In finite universe.
I guess one of the things in terms of the dialogue is to again look at this question of how so many places have in building construction have relied primarily on compression and that stacking of stones or rocks or building materials. What do you think happened that the tensional part seemed to have disappeared for a period of time?
I think it happened only where people thought. If you get in Egypt, the knowledge was concerned with the priest. It came from experience of a local and things happening that is generalized. And some rules that are deducted from that. And the testing of those rules that hold over time, and people codifying them, putting them and practicing them. It is discontinuous. It seemed to, there have been a lot of theories about the linkages. But if you go in Africa, you see in Egypt, in West Africa, and in Southern Africa here, you see in the Great Zimbabwe. If you go to Central America, you have the Aztecs. If you go to Southeast Asia, you have that structure that I can't remember the name. Maybe Anne will remember. But it seems to be an evolutive thing. That from experience of humans on this planet, some of the rules that are quite fundamental, because this is fundamental, the translation of the pulsative nature of a finite universe, that people came to grasp some of those principles and put them into practice. That's the way I understand it. Because it doesn't belong to one particular area of the world. It's just where humans were deployed. Okay.
Okay, I can't. Are you done, Manu? Thank you. I was trying to get my shameful cognition work, but it's probably disabled itself. Am I right to say, or wrong to say, that compression can travel with a wave, but tension cannot?
Say that again?
Compression can travel with wave.
With a wave. Like you have an explosion, or you have the sun and the solar wind, which is not a wind, which are waves, it just brings compression at a distance,
Okay.
and explosions as well. Whereas tension, I do not see, I do not find any example of tension traveling via a wave, but maybe it's just an idea that came to me now. So I would like the input. Yeah, please, Manu.
Okay. Notice that the word tension is actually linked to the concept of boundary. That is a fundamental wave of the finiteness of universe. It's linked to the boundary. So it's always there. Now, when you talk about traveling of a compression, there's a concept that is saying energizing the next. It's not actual travel. Like people think that the electron actually never travels. What you do is that you energize your neighbor, and your neighbor energizes his neighbor. And since it look the same thing, the impression is given that that compression is traveling. It is not. It is only acting at the boundary towards transmitting some energy to the next boundary. It's like the stack. It's like the stack.
That's not how waves work.
Now, I'm just saying that it is a perception of it that seems to explain to the fact that compression is actually local, although it can transmit its effect a long way, whereas tension was there. Because tension was necessary to hold the boundary together of whatever thing that we are in.
Okay, I'm not convinced on either side. Either the transmission boundary to boundary of compression. I think there's more to it than that. And the second thing I'm not convinced of is that the finite universe has a boundary. Because by definition, a boundary is an interface. It's something in between. And by definition also, everything is in universe. So if there is some sort of membrane around universe, you cannot call it a boundary because there's a clash of the definitions. Because one says everything is in universe, and if you put a boundary around universe, it implies that there's something outside of universe. So I think it's not just a vocab issue there. It's a fundamental definition, understanding of the definitions, and it's can we conceptualize something finite but without boundary? It's a little bit beyond my grasp at this moment. But I think we should all work towards some sort of concept like this. The same as there is no membrane around a black hole. The boundary on a black hole, it's called an event horizon. I've shared that a couple of sessions earlier. And there's not at no moment getting into a black hole do you feel the transition between inside or outside the black hole. You just, as time slows down, you just infinitely slow down, and you remain at the surface of a black hole. Nothing ever gets inside a black hole because getting inside implies motion, and you need time for motion. And in the black hole, time disappears. There's no time in there, so there cannot be any motion. And this really tickles me because these concepts are way beyond human apprehension. You have to invent new concepts to understand that, and I don't have those concepts. Anyway, that's what I wanted. That's my rant. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, go ahead, Manu.
I think that you will have to go back to the definition of universe as by Fuller, because very precise what he meant by universe and what she's talking about here in terms of universe. Although it doesn't, maybe it might not correspond to what you, Fred, you are talking about. You're calling universe. I don't know if it's possible to go back to it. I'm telling in terms of fundamental, what he calls universe. I don't have it here.
Do you have that readily available?
Let me check it. I'm gonna check it and then I'll share it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's in
Yeah.
the Fuller dictionary, there's like
Yeah.
80 cards about universe. So it's not one definition. It's a multitude of observations and assertions about universe, which slowly build up an understanding of it. My favorite is that everything's in universe, because you can work your way back to the other observations from that one, because it excludes everything.
Okay. I have it here from Cosmography.
Okay.
Let me just go to the page. Definition, page 64.
I have hold
Okay.
on. I can
Yeah,
share that. Hold on.
here.
Hold on. Let me share it.
Yes.
You say page 64?
Yes, of Cosmography.
Okay, hold on. Let me get there. $74. Getting there. 70.
64.
Yes. I'm looking for it.
Okay, you're counting your
66, 65. There we go. Now I need to share. Sorry, it's a mouthful on a very small screen here. Okay, there we go. This is Cosmography, page 64.
Do you want me to read? My voice is not the best. Maybe
Go
Joe
ahead,
read.
Yeah, I can read it.
Please read it. Please read
Yeah.
it. Go ahead.
Okay.
I've
This is
also,
Bucky saying, I have often stated that by universe, I mean the aggregate of all humans consciously apprehended and communicated to self or others' experiences. All the individual experiences in this aggregate of omni experiences cannot be simultaneously recalled. They can be recalled only by systemic increments. The individual systemic recallability from memory of many experiences, some rapidly, some slowly, suggests possible omni-recallability in extended time of the entire memory bank collection of the majority of individual unique experiences. You want me to continue? Okay.
I think it's good. I think it's good for the moment. Thank you. One remark. Your reading is very easily comprehensible by myself. I guess by others too. But
Really?
I think you're demeaning yourself. You're reading a lot better than what you think you are. So you're back on the list of volunteers for reading. So thank you for that. Now that's a very good definition. Thank you very much for finding it. That's a very good definition. Oh, we got Lee coming in. Hold on a second. Let me admit Lee.
oh, nice.
I imagine she had difficulties to join in without the help of Steve next to her. Now I can't see.
I mean, that definition
Can I
is
stop
very
sharing
important.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing for the moment, and we welcome Lee. Hello,
Hey,
Lee. Good morning, evening, whatever time it is at your place. how are you feeling, and what is your shape, and what is your desired takeaway?
I am doing really wonderful. Went and saw a fabulous musical, and crazy. Oh, Dozy Chaperone. I think that's what it was called. And it was funny and very talented guys dancing and singing. It was fun. It was really fun. And we were with Megan, Steve's. Can you? I can hear you. Anyway, Steve's daughter.
Thank you, Lee. Maybe you call Steve on what he has next.
And he's plugging in, and I can't hear you. Default.
Okay, thank you, Lee.
Changed.
Steve, how are you feeling? What shape are you in, and what is your desired takeaway?
Shape am I in?
Yes,
Okay.
we want to know that.
I feel like a sphere with a spear stuck through it. I don't know. Yeah, so what shape I'm in, there I go. And I enjoyed the play, and it was really superb. And I'm glad to be here. I enjoy our conversations, and I'm looking forward to understanding more about these geodesic domes. And I guess we're on Tensegrity tonight, or pretty close. So wonderful. I'm ready to tune in. And
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Let me fill you in where we're at, and I hand over the lead to you. We had rereading of the beginning of the chapter of Tensegrity, and we were at the point where we had a discussion where the definition of universe was put into question, and Manu found a definition of universe. The reason why we went back to definition was that we started with tension is radiates infinite radiates with no limits to where it can radiate, whereas compression is local. And I came up with the idea that compression can travel via a wave, and therefore could have an effect at a distance. And I did not see how tension could travel with a wave. And Manu mentioned that tension is related to boundary, and starting with the universe, we started with the boundary of universe and so on, whereas compression is related to transmission of its effect via successive boundaries of whatever it goes through. And then we were discussing about definition of boundary, which is what is in between two different artifacts of universe.
or systems.
And if everything is in universe, then there cannot be a boundary, because then there's a clash of definitions, since there cannot be anything outside of the universe boundary, if we call it that. And then Manu came up with the definition of boundary, of universe, sorry, came up with the definition of universe as laid out in Cosmography. And maybe we can reread that one, because I think it is very important. I'm going to share my book on the definition, page 64. And Manu, can you read it again, please?
Okay. I've often stated that by universe, I mean the aggregate of all humanities consciously apprehended and communicated to self or others' experiences. All the individual experiences in this aggregate of omni-experiences cannot be simultaneously recalled. They can be recalled only by systemic increments. The individual systemic recallability from memory of many experiences, some rapidly, some slowly, suggests possible omni-recallability in extended time of the entire memory banked collection of the majority of individuals' unique experiences. Should I continue?
Let me ask a question. This is in which book?
Cosmography.
Cosmography.
What-
I'm going to put it in the chat as soon as.
Okay.
There we go. Here.
Okay, well, I've heard a couple things so far. If you're interested in my reaction to what I'm hearing so far, this is kind of cool because this is universe. Because when I think of universe, I think of hierarchical, that hierarchical, what's it called? The where he talks about nature and synergy and universe being known and unknown. It's called hierarchical somethings. What the hell is that called? I'll look it up here in a minute. So this is cool because this definition seems to wrestle universe into basically human experience, and it overlaps, and not all of it is known at one time. Is that what I'm hearing? Did I just read it? Did I just understand that reading from Manu?
Yes, you understand it correctly.
Yeah.
It reconciles myself with the idea of finite universe, which had been challenged from my reading of Susskind lately, because according to latest physics developments, the jury is still out there whether the universe is finite or infinite. We don't know that yet. But as per Manu's definition, as per the definition in cosmography that Manu pulled out here, it reconciled the idea that universe may be infinite. However, parts of it may be forever out of human reach or grasp or apprehension. And this definition is very good into that. Richard, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think for me, this is what starting to happen is that very first sentence is for me critical in my understanding of saying that the humanities consciously apprehended and communicated. In other words, the definition, so to speak, in terms of its reality, is limited by the conscious apprehension and communication. We are by definition limiting whatever it is. And in the same way, I think, as you were saying, that some of these questions are still unresolved because I think it's really saying because our conscious apprehension hasn't got to the point where we can incorporate whatever that is out there. So we're limited by our own conscious apprehension ability, or as was read further, our recallability. And
yes, but okay, please keep going. Are you through, Richard?
Yes.
Okay, that's not it. Of course, this is correct. If it's not within the reach of our consciousness, then at this moment it's not in universe. But we could expect that at some later time it will be once our consciousness expands. The physics approach to that is a little bit different. Is some parts of universe are beyond our reach and our consciousness forever due to physical law, which does not allow information created or existing beyond beyond those points to reach us at any time due to expansion of universe mostly.
Well, and that, in my mind too, is physics was thought to be everything. In other words, material was thought to be everything. Now we're finding that that's not necessarily so. And so physics is may well have the answer from a physical or materialist point of view, but it doesn't shut off all the other possibilities beyond that. And
Yes.
that's what's interesting with the Galileo Commission is the little bit that I've been connected with it is that just the very title is beyond materialist science. It's really trying to open the door to allow us to go beyond physics, if you want.
Well, this is, I mean, Fuller's epistemology. I mean, that's the way I mean, how does knowledge attained? Essentially, this is what he's saying that it is, and it's, and this is part of his whole idea of comprehensivity as well. So, as opposed to, looking at it from a reductionist standpoint, looks at it more holistically. So, yeah. That's all. I mean, but I think it's essential actually to understanding Fuller.
Thank you, Joe. Manu, go ahead.
Okay. This consciously apprehended and communicated is by us.
Mm-hmm.
And we also agree that we are finite. Humans had some start, and we accept that we will have some end. The aggregates of humans.
Yeah.
It might jump into something else, but it wouldn't be us. So, if it is by us, and we are not eternal, therefore it is finite. Because as I put there, universe, if you decompose it, is uni, that is one, and verse is a version of something. A verse is from version. So how do we understand something? So universe is our commonly accepted interpretation of our environment. Again, if it is our environment, it also implies that it's finite. But the kick is that this is not cast in stone. Because what we know is a tiny part of what we don't know.
Right.
That process of continuous accumulation is infinite. Therefore, if you conceive universe as a continuous accumulation, it is infinite in terms of time.
And that makes it boundaryless.
Yes. So it is one another. It is a duality at play. If you are local, you see it gravitationally. You pull it to you to understand. If you want to explore, it is infinitum. And that's why we put two spheres as a symbol of infinite. And I mean, those who had that sign, it was not just material thing of writing. It was translating a spiritual being in that I cannot, as me, but I'm convinced that there is somebody else or something else that can. Therefore, the way I conceptualize that thing is to put two spheres together to make a bow tie. That's the only way that I reconcile that infinitum with my local experience. I put the two like this. I was doing this sign when Steve was talking. I don't know if anybody saw it. Look at that. Between my lower body and my head, there's this bow tie here. It's a duality of two and two, always. It's a principle. It's a generalized. That's what I can say. That's how I can live rationally with the concept of finiteness and infinity. Multiplicative, finite, and divisibility, infinite.
Yeah, well, I think that's when you describe it that way, what comes across my mind is that physics is gravitational and metaphysics is
relational. That's true.
Relational. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Are we doubting? Don't we? Okay, not are we doubting? Don't we agree with that as a principle?
Say it again. Physics is?
It's gravitational.
Gravitational, okay.
And metaphysics is relational.
Yes, radiational and relational. Yes.
And that in itself then says physics is not all inclusive in the way in which we've been led to believe that it is.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not sure we can make the distinction as yet as clearly as you say. Developments in quantum physics include consciousness as a creation factor of universe, especially if we look at 2-dimensional informational universe where our 3D or 4D apprehensible place where we're living, space where we're living, is a derivative of it, of a 2D of a 2-dimension surface of a black hole, informational universe. And this goes to the holographic universe theory, which is one of the possible candidates for explaining quantum physics. We're not there yet. Nobody understands quantum physics anyway. Once you look, until the moment you look at quantum physics, the moment you start looking at quantum physics, you don't understand it. That's what's happened. That's one of the paradox of the more you study quantum physics, the less you understand anything. That's Steve, your hands up.
A couple things are coming up for me, and I'm not sure where I want to start because I have some agreement and some disagreement with some of the things I've heard. Like, I get the concept of physics being physical. I understood that right, and then metaphysics. To me, it's not relational. To me, relational is tensegrity. Tensegrity is the relationship between things, describes relationships better than metaphysical. Metaphysical is what I would call spiritual, or the unseen part of physicality that holds it together. There's something metaphysical about it. And to me, relationships are more described by the tensegrity. I like the idea at the beginning of hearing that there's this compression and radiation. To me, compression is like gravity. And so I would say there's gravity and there's radiation. And in between that, there's a tensegrity. That's where the boundary is between things. That's what's coming up for me, is that tensegrity relates more to the relationship between the elements. What did we define tensegrity as last time? It was the combination of what? Tensegrity is what?
Tension and compression. That's what it is.
Something in compression. What's the other one?
Tension.
Tension and
Yeah.
compression.
Okay, tension and compression. There's a tensegrity. That's where that boundary is. And that's where that push-pull happens. And that's what makes an artifact stable or makes it unstable. And I want to come back to, so I don't know, maybe I'm asking more questions than I should, but I'd like to share a screen here and talk to you about definition of universe. This is from Synergetics 1056.2. And we never really came to a consensus about this on the call because I was never happy with our community, in our community, understanding the idea that this is a cosmic hierarchy. So this is a cosmic hierarchy. Everybody understands cosmic hierarchy, but it's comprehensive.
It's off the screen.
What?
Off the screen.
Okay, everybody. Well, I can't help that. I'm doing this. So it's comprehensively embracing and permeating generalizations. So all this crap is happening all at once, and I don't think we got a consensus when we were studying that. Here, Bucky describes 38 different cosmic hierarchies that are all embracing and all permeating. In other words, they embrace each other and they permeate each other. And he starts with cosmic integrity. And notice he puts that little symbol down here. That's very important because number one is this guy. And so 1 and 38 are the same. I'll show you one in a minute. Maybe I should scroll down there.
I had trouble.
I'm not sure how many pages I have here. But notice there's cosmic integrity.
Can you
Say
tweak
what?
your microphone, Steve? It's really.
Oh, I know. Lee,
Yeah,
you've
it's
got to
really
mute.
tough to hear you.
Lee's got to mute. Okay, good. Lee muted.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks.
So to just repeat briefly, it seems like the call, we never came to consensus about what comprehensively embracing and permeating means. And I argue that all of these concepts are totally embracing each other and they are permeating each other at the same time. Just like we want to do a yin and a yang symbol down here, we do yin and yang, we picture it as being oppositional or opposite, but in fact, it's permeated. The whole thing permeates itself all the way through. It's self-embracing, it wraps around it, and it permeates through it. So he starts off with cosmic integrity, then starts off with synergy, goes to synergy, and goes to nature, and goes to, and this is where it starts getting a little bit more, because we can understand nature is comprehensively embracing and permeating through synergy. Synergy and nature are kind of the same. And cosmic integrity, it goes along with synergy and nature. But now we come to unknown, all that is unknown, and universe, all that is known. And you just read the definition of universe from page 64. And if you put this concept, now, and by the way, this is not to say that Bucky never contradicted himself either. I mean, his concepts evolved, right, over time. So he may have said one thing one time and another thing another time. Would be really good to look at it. But here we go. And then he goes metaphysical and physical. These are comprehensively embracing and permanently and permeating simultaneously. Like the metaphysical permeates the physical, and the physical permeates the metaphysical. And so I'm leaving out a lot of words between here and there, but watch. Then it goes to syntropy and entropy. Syntropy is everywhere, and he calls syntropy gravity. And entropy is everywhere. That's radiation. Everything's spreading out. And then astrophysics is number 29 in this thing. And again, I'm going to argue that astrophysics is equal to cosmic integrity. There is no astrophysics without cosmic integrity, and cosmic integrity permeates and embraces astrophysics. And then we have the solar system, star systems. Then we have Earth, the planetary system. Then we have biologicals. Then we have, I'm repeating it here. I started breaking it out and trying, because I gave a presentation on this, I talked about asking different questions. Okay, so this is just one page of thing. And I've got another page with 26 and on. So just musing here, not to take us too far off of thing. There's you just gave us a definition. Manu found that definition of universe, but somehow universe relates to what is known, and somehow there's an unknown. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw this out. But I do really like the idea of radiation and gravity, and he points out here syntropy and entropy. Entropy being radiation, syntropy being gravity. And I like the idea that in the boundary between gravity and radiation, there's this relationship, there's this tensegrity that helps an artifact or helps a thing maintain its thingness, its system, helps a system maintain its systemness. I'll be quiet because I'm just kind of throwing out ideas. I hope this has been added to some thought here. And I'm happy to turn it off and let somebody else talk.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
That was very appropriate to go back to the cosmic hierarchy. Good. And it made me realize that I've forgotten a lot about Fuller. Thank you. Manu.
Okay.
Your hands up. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, cool. Let me get back to this. And this is to Steve. I hope he's going to clarify you. You see this?
Sure.
This is the cube octahedron. This is the cube octahedron that we've seen.
Yeah, there are two.
What is in the middle here? It's the octahedron. We can see it.
Yeah, it's an octahedron, yeah.
Okay. Energy is flowing through the windows. Energy is flowing across the edges of this system. Do we also agree to that?
Oh yeah. In fact, I see that more vividly now.
Okay, let me go. Let me continue.
Yeah.
So this energy is all the time permeating the cube octahedron and the octahedron. So if it's doing so, and we see that the octahedron is in the cube octahedron is bigger than the octahedron. That is the concept.
Wow.
The cube octahedron is bigger.
There is hierarchy. That was the first point. When you talk about permeability, the tension being everywhere. Because this energy is flowing, is in tension all over, all the time. And across this cube octahedron is going somewhere. I don't know. All I know is that in principle, it will go and come back. I cannot distinguish between two electrons. For example, if electricity. I cannot. But I know that there was an electron here, and then later on there's an electron there. So what has come in the form of a wave of the same electron is not relevant here. It is that it comes back, it loops conceptually.
Yeah.
So coming back to the definition, when I present this to you and I say this is the cube octahedron, what you see, when I say see means all your senses. What you can see with all your senses is only these individuals and the relationship that you can account between them. At every time within your field of vision, there is a number of individuals. Here, there was 6 when you were only in the octahedron. There were 6 individuals, or in the cube, as you say. But if you expand, you unfold, and the individuals that were oppressed, that were under, that were obscure,
yeah,
they are allowed to shine, to express themselves. Your concept of what you are in expands. with that unfolding. And therefore, you see more individual. I see 4 here. I see 4 there. I see another 4 here. That is 12 already. Plus the one that is in the middle there, that is 13. And then I continue. So that is the concept of cosmic hierarchy. Knowing that everything that we are doing is a matter of accounting for what is around us and, accounting for what is around us and using it to design, either shape our concept of the extent of what we are in or what we are building to be on. That is like our housing or whatever.
Okay.
That's the why we are here, in simple terms.
Thank you. Are you sure?
Because with us, let me finish. With us or without us, this game continues. I'm through.
Thank you. And your hands up.
Yeah, okay. Bear with me because I'm gonna go back to tensegrity, and then it's gonna take us all the way to the physical, metaphysical, and consciousness. Okay. Now, I have a screen going on in my phone right now because it just caught because actually I was looking at the domal structure, right? The housing, the structures built by the West African Dogons, right? Dogon village. And so it got me into Instagram. And what happened was this is I think what they say, that the phone is listening. Yeah. The ad that popped up at the bottom, it just showed up. I wasn't looking for it. And it kind of showed the hump. Like people get the hump at the back as we get older. And it says that the hump is not a posture thing, and it has to do with muscles. So we're back to, because earlier on, Richard, you're talking about tensegrity and you're talking about muscles and our muscle systems, right? Then it showed up that this whole thing is a muscle issue. It's not even a posture issue, and we just need to fix our muscle. And then they showed a rope, because you're talking about rope pulling and the tension and the compression, right? So it's pretty freaky for me. But what it got me to thinking is this, right? So first and foremost, I know that there's a problem with our posture, because instead of sticking, putting it upwards, I was sticking my neck out, and it's literally, he shows a lot of people, our age group, my age group will do that, and but the thing is, it has to do with muscles, right? Then it got me to thinking, because we went to metaphysical, physical, and then also consciousness, right? Then it occurred to me, and also watching my little granddaughter trying to stand and walk, right? So I realized that, our skeleton, which is actually solid, okay, and yet it doesn't stay upright on its own. It's a thing that's solid, right? But it doesn't stay upright on its own, right? And so it needs the muscles. And that's where the tensegrity comes in. You need the whole body system, including the muscles, to kind of hold everything up, and so on and so forth. But then having muscles isn't enough to keep us upright. We need balance, right? So balance doesn't fall into physical, and because the physical is the bones and the muscles, right? Because I'm seeing my granddaughter, because she's crawling, right? She's crawling, but she couldn't stand, right? So it needs balance. And she's so thrilled. What's so entertaining her is trying to stand up and being wobbly. She chuckles, right? And she's managed to stand up, and she's taken a few steps. So it's the balance that's keeping us upright. So it's kind of, it's so from the ad, from talking, and then the ad kind of got me down this path to the fact that we have physical, metaphysical, and consciousness, right? So balance comes under metaphysical consciousness. And I so loved it, Fred, when you said that, reminded us that quantum physics include consciousness. So how do we pull this together? Yeah, I'm done. Makes sense where I was going with it?
Thank you.
Right, I'm done.
I can just respond to that one kind of question, whether it was a real question or rhetorical. One of Bucky's hierarchies is biological, by the way. And I don't know how that relates to consciousness or anybody else thought, but if you recall in that sheet, biologicals was one of the comprehensively permeating and embracing hierarchies. And I do want to show you one other thing since I'm doing that, because I found a little picture file that shows all of it. This is the reading from section 1056.10 and 1056.20. But here's the first set of cosmological hierarchies. And then here's the second set that goes down through 28. And then I found the others. And then it gets real personal here. I wish I can't do much better than that. And when I expand it, I guess that's pretty good. But look here, the last little guy here is me. And remember, if you recall, I pointed out this little guy right here. That is the same symbol that Bucky has for cosmic integrity. So somehow 38 relates to 1. And by the way, there are 18 ones. In other words, there are 18 ways to define me. There's the gross communications me, the communications me, the gestured communications me, the sensed by me, the gestured communications understood by me. Interesting how he breaks this down. Gestured communications articulated, gestured communications human to humans, including smiles, clothing, perfumes, etc., and then verbally communicating. And then there's incisively disciplined me up here. So there are 18 different me's, which is kind of interesting. And I love the way that he shows the symbol for me as being the dotted L, and the symbol for they is the, dotted it's the upside down figure. It's just exactly opposite. And when he does his symbols, he does this. Here's me, here's you, here's they, here's others, here's we, here's a nation, that guy, and then here's a cult. Interestingly enough, he breaks out into a cult. Here's humanity, a rectangle, and then back to cosmic integrity, which is it's kind of a yin-yang symbol. It could be perceived as a smiley symbol, but it's an yin-yang. It's 2 dots. And then he sticks this little thing down here where he goes, cosmic integrity, synergy, nature, whatever O was. I think it was
Others?
What?
Others?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what O was up here. It was unknown. O represents unknown. So then he straps it down here into this summary statement. So here's synergy, nature, unknown, known. That's the universe. And then here we all are. So anyway, there's his cosmic hierarchies. It's good to review. It's been good for me to look back and review this. And if you'll note over here, and he says that biologicals are biologicals. It's 26. Planetary biosphere ecology. I don't know. There's my 2 cents. I'm not answering anything. I'm just putting more out there. I'm complete.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let's, if there's no more, are there more comments on this topic? And then the one that takes the lead, yes, Richard. And then you can share your takeaway and the shape you're in and all these wonderful things and pass it on.
Yeah, I was just kind of relating to the idea of the cosmic hierarchy and what was mentioning earlier around putting things in a list in this case, sort of like a vertical list to give you the sense of hierarchy. We also saw at the bottom there where you showed those other symbols, you saw it laid out horizontally as well, but still list form. And that's why, for me, it's interesting to be able to rearrange all of those points, if you want, on the hierarchy into a more of, I guess, of a circular kind of vision, where you can then see the lines that connect between them. And 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 I just saw in one of our might have been out of that cosmography, but if we read another paragraph or two, we get to that formula of r squared n minus 1. And so when you also look at this 18 me's, if you applied that formula, you end up getting 306 interactions between those 18 me's. you and you get a sense of the deep complexity, if you want, in a hierarchy. If you see it in a kind of holistic tensegrity sort of way, because you can count the 18 me's, but you also can count the 18 the 306 interactions between the 18 me's, and that's only one-way interactions. Well, no, that's two ways. If I'd have to divide by two to get to the one way, but it's just another nice way to be able to see the complexity in both a list hierarchical form and a horizontal form, and then in a holistic form. And we often stop at the vertical or the horizontal listing of things. And so it's easy to miss the interactions between them. And when we miss the interactions in between them, we miss some of the complexity. So yeah, um, that's my big takeaway, actually, in the sense of, oh my gosh, when you sort of just relate to the 18 me's and the interactions between those 18 me's, um, no wonder it's hard to understand ourselves and navigate ourselves through all of the other parts of nature that we're connected to. So, uh, Steve, how are you
Thank you,
feeling
Richard.
at this point? And what's your takeaway from the evening?
Well, I'm very excited to be here. I'm so glad because I was attempted to stop at a store and get some supplies, and then I would have been later than I was, and I'm certainly glad I made it. When I feel like I miss a lot. Richard, when it comes to your idea about that list, when we studied that section 1056.10 and .20, I felt absolutely no consensus on what comprehensively embracing and permeating meant. I mean, comprehensive means comprehensive. It means
Hmm.
everything everywhere all at once. And embracing means embrace everything all at once. And permeating means radiating through everything all at once, right? Embracing is kind of gravitational, and and permeating is kind of radiational. And yet there was no consensus because it's hard for the brain to get it. And like you said, as soon as I put it in a list, oh, now it's in a list, my two-dimensional brain goes, I get it. But I don't get that everything relates to everything simultaneously at equal measure. That's what I don't get. And so the brain likes that 2D list, I would like to see concentric circles. But then, now who could understand that? Who could understand 38 concentric circles, right? But then you'd have a center, and then you'd have a boundary on the outside, and everything would be embracing and permeating simultaneously. But now I'm back to confusion, and my brain goes, I want a list.
Oh,
So, it's kind of thing. But then I think of Stephen Wolfram has done some amazing work with hypergraphs. And I'm gonna, if I may, I'll share this. Here's Stephen Wolfram stuff. In fact, he has, with his automata type Ruliad, he has universe is basically a set of rules, and he's tested these different rules and noted that an infinite amount of combinations can result from these rules. Sometimes they get stuck. Sometimes it just continues to spread. Here's an example. These are examples of Stephen Wolfram's of hypergraphs, where everything is connected to everything. And in fact, in some of his formulas, he even creates black holes. he can see these holes generating around and they rotate around each other, and then they collapse and then they pop out again. Oh, all because, and this is interesting. I don't think this is Stephen Wolfram, but this is relational symmetry of hypergraphs, which, now we're back to the tree of life. Holy mackerel, we're back to all that stuff. So I think maybe, I doubt it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if human beings could think in terms of pure relationships and not think about nodes? The me node is cooler than the you node, and get that it's relationship. It's, you're a cool node, I'm a cool node. Let's hang out and be nodes together. I don't know. So I love this conversation, and I wish I understand parts of it. And another formula is Newton's formula, gravity versus radiation. That's the reverse square law, right? So that gravity is stronger than radiation by the reverse square law. So the further away you get, the less condensed gravity is. And the way you do it is you take a little dot and you project it out into a square, then you go out another equal distance, and now all of a sudden it's 4 squares. You go out another equal distance, and all of a sudden it's 16 squares, and it shows how radiation fades to gravity. And somehow it's a miracle. I'm so glad that where else in the planet could we have a discussion like this on a Saturday evening? Thank you all very much for being here. I'm thrilled to be. So, Anne, how are you feeling, and what are your takeaways? And
Yeah.
what shape are you in? And if you can beat the sphere with a spear through it, let me know.
Thank you, Steve. I'm so glad to have you and Lee coming on board, because it just completed everything. Because when I started off, okay, first I'm going to have to share. Thank you, Joe, for sharing the links. Yeah, I took note of all of them, right? Now, I started off sharing that I was in that shape of, how the geodesic dome, the vertices coming together, and it's like that thing, that structure that holds it, and there are about 6 spokes coming out of it, because I've got 6 options, and I've got to make some pretty I guess for me it's a big decision on what to do with the school, or the direction we're going to take with the school, right? The schools that we have. Then we went down the path of going through. Thank you, Manu. Now I'm going down the path. Manu reminded us we were talking about tensegrity, but we went on to the universe, right? And that's where it's going to lead to the shape I'm in. So thank you for sharing the duality of the universe, the finite and the infinite. Explain that way. It gives us the time part of it being infinite. That's very easy to see. Okay. Then we went into consciousness. Yeah, Fred. And then Steve, the last bit you came in with that bringing the cosmic hierarchy back into the picture. So the shape I'm in, ending the whole meeting today, is that humanity shape, because the decision I'm going to have to make is for humanity. Yeah. And so out of the 6, I can see 3 would fit right in that. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much. So Lee, how do you feel, and what shape are you in, and what is your takeaway today?
Here she comes.
I can barely see. I think at the theater that we were at, it was very dusty, and of course they were dancing and singing and flaunting around the stage, and I'm not feeling too good right now. Honestly, I'm all those me. I have taken in all of the me's, and I think I'm feeling pretty yucky. All the me's that I've taken in. I'm going to pass it over to you, Joe. What is your takeaway, and how do you feel?
Well, it's been as I said, a long week. But I appreciate, going over the hierarchy. I mean, because I think that it really does show the interconnections. Something that I think of often when it comes to this is this idea of Stoic cosmopolitanism. how the individual affects someone else. And then if you can get around through these concentric, I know that Steve didn't like the concentric circles, but there are these Heraclean circles. Like, I'll put something in the chat that shows them, but it talks about how everything is interrelated, and what Bucky's showing is all the relationships, and he's capturing all the relationships and the ideas. So by kind of looking at it through a geometric lens, he's showing how to actually just catch everything, capture everything all at once. Tensegrity, I think, it's good to revisit the ideas of nature. And I think it was the last session that we finished, where I put something with John Fullerton in, and he talks about mimicking nature within local, mimicking nature and economics in general. And the reason why that, that's important is that tensegrity mimics nature as well. And we were, and revisiting it from that perspective, from the biological perspective, we can see how there's an interrelationship between, the biological, the way the body's actually made up, and the way, resilient structures can be constructed. So, but I really do like the, going over, the hierarchy, the cosmic hierarchy, because I really do think it shows, you also have something as above, so below as above, right? You could see that as well to a certain extent. I know that's linear in its approach and the way it's looking at it. And it's more looking at it in a list sense, but I do like, I think Steve's concept of everything everywhere all at once is an important one when you're taking it away from when you're thinking about that in terms of specifically that hierarchy. In any case, Manu, how do you feel? What are you taking away from today?
I feel literally. Can you hear me? Yes. I feel grateful and literally. What I take away is just very simple. It would be crazy of Joe to go around and say, Joe, yes, Joe, yes, Joe, yes. Although, it is necessary for me to hear Joe say, Joe, yes, Joe, yes, Joe, yes, to know that Joe is there. And then say, Manu, yes, Manu, yes. And then it will be also easier and more efficient for Joe to restrain himself to just say yes, open mouth, calling Joe. That's what I take away. Who is left? Steve. Steven. Steve, how do you feel?
Yeah, I already.
What shape are you? Pardon?
You need to pass it on to Lee.
No,
Lee.
She shared, yeah.
Oh, it's just Fred then left.
Yeah.
Fred, what shape are you? How do you feel? What do you take away?
Thank you, Manu. Lee has shared already? Okay,
Yep.
sorry about that. Thank you. That was a wonderful call. That's my takeaway. I really enjoyed it, and I learned something. So it was worth it to get up early. So that's a good thing. I'm very grateful. I want to point out that Newton, that guy, Newton, discovered the inverse square law. Never forget that. That's Newton. And then I'm very grateful that Manu pulled out the definition of universe. It's a Carl Jung synchronicity. I needed to see that definition too. rearrange and to have a concept floating in my mind fall into their own place. And so that brought clarity to me, and at least on some portions of that. So that's good. And regarding cosmic hierarchy, I have something for you to chew on for the coming days. There's a biotensegrity duality in the universe. One is some organisms are juicy outside and crunchy inside. And these are few beings are like this. They're juicy outside and crunchy inside. And some other beings in universe are crunchy outside and juicy inside. I leave it to you to chew on that and define whether one is more in tension and the other one more in compression. So that's all I got for you for today.
Wait, Fred, hold on. Bio what?
Biotensegrity duality.
Okay.
It's a joke.
Integrity.
It's a joke. It's a distinction for you to think about.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All right. Everybody's complete. Then see you all.
No, just 1 second. I want to download this. Let me just open the file here. Therefore, I'll have it.
I do
Okay,
believe
I've opened it.
that-
I can save it after.
I do
Okay.
believe that if you got to download it, that's very good, because I believe that each one of us gets a copy of the chat on our computer when we leave. It's in the Zoom folder, and it usually pops up and says you've got it there, but it doesn't save the graphics. It doesn't
Mhm.
save the
That's
links to the
true.
graphics. So if there's a graphic you like, you've got to download it. I do what I can to take all these graphics and download them to my machine and upload them on the email that goes out. But I do miss some. So
If a small trick for all of you, if you just double click on the graph, it pops up at a window on your computer, and then it stays after it's probably going directly into your download folder. If you
Okay.
double click on the graphic, it pops up a window with the graph, it downloads it, and you'll find it in your download folder.
Definitely so, yes.
cool.
Okay?
Thank you.
So
all.
Yep.
I can stay on if somebody needs something else, but we've got to end the call now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's done.
We're
Done.
good. I can close it. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks
Yes.
everybody. Bye bye. Have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.